He's been out of office for years, but 150 million people around the world still follow him. When he speaks, the whole room goes quiet. That's Barack Obama. Why is he the most loved U.S. president ever? Here are 3 big reasons. First, the man can talk. Every speech feels like a deep stand-up comedy routine. He never raises his voice, but still manages to shut down his haters. A lot of young people say they got into politics just by hearing him speak. Second, he really cares about regular people. No fancy attitude here. When he's out in public, Obama's the one shaking hands, chatting, and taking pics with everyone. One fan even met him while waiting in line at a burger joint. Obama always said, the president works for the people. Third, he's a great husband and dad. He and Michelle are the ultimate couple goals. He doesn't act like the boss. At home, before his daughter went on a date, he had the dad talk with the guy. He's powerful, but warm, and that's why people love him. So, what do you admire most about Obama?
There's no better person to do that than a president of the United States. And the best president of the United States to do it is this president who took a veteran's flight and surprised some of our veterans, our forever president. Watch.
Hello, everybody. What? As we approach Veterans Day, I wanted to stop by and just say thank you for your extraordinary service. To you, your family, the sacrifices that all of you made to protect our country is something that will always be honored. And we are very grateful, and we also happen to welcome you with the 70-degree day in D.C., which doesn't always happen around here.
That's the first time I've seen a president, former or current, greet an honor flight, and that is absolutely amazing. A commander-in-chief, a leader who's going to show up and tell you that your service was worth something. I think that's the important part, so I think it was a great thing to have.
Last time I got to see a president, it was Gerald Ford.
How about that? So nice.
It was a joy in my heart today to see all these people. It's good. We still got people in our country, and that's good.
I had tears in my eyes. I just couldn't believe that there was that many people around that remembered us and was there to greet us, and it was just unbelievable.
Well, it means a lot because back then you got off the plane there and you had no welcome and people were almost booing you.
I'm real happy that now with current troops that come back from deployments, they get welcomed back really nice because that's what should happen. So it's being recreated in this flight and it makes you feel good.
I haven't flown for 50 years. I was in the military from 72 to 76. Our country puts these things up, these memorials, honoring the men and women that served. You couldn't ask for something greater.
This has been going on over 20 years, and it started out very small, and now a lot of states have their own hubs, and they raise their own money and and they set up the whole flights. They set up where they're going to go, the buses, the flights. Flight like today from Madison, Wisconsin will come in the morning and leave in the afternoon, and we'll get them around to every monument we can within reasonable time. Every city in this country has got veterans in it, I guarantee it. Go up and say thank you, and just tell them how much you appreciate them.
It was the greatest day of our lives.
When father and son Marlon Hensler Jr. and Marlon Hensler III set off to Washington, D.C. on a Badger honor flight on Saturday,
I imagined it being one of the best days that I've ever had.
They expected the stories, the monuments, and even the thank yous.
I have never seen so many people in my entire life welcome us home.
Hensler II served as an air traffic controller in the Marine Corps from 1959 to 1964.
They made me the man I am.
But even he couldn't have anticipated how their flight would end.
Hello, everybody.
What?
They said somebody's going to come on and say something to you, and I don't need to introduce them.
Thank you for your extraordinary service.
But I got off the plane, and there was this nice, tall gentleman, and he said, "Welcome, Marlon." And I looked at him. You know, it was the ex-president of the United States, Mr. Obama.
Former President Barack Obama greeted 87 Wisconsin veterans and their loved ones at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, handing each service member a presidential challenge coin.
Like the ex-president of the United States actually saying thank you. Isn't that great?
A memento Hensler says he'll keep forever.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me and my dad, and it's something we're going to remember forever.
And a moment he says he'd serve his country all over again to experience.
Give a little bit for your country. You'll be surprised the country gives a little bit to you.
Let me just say right here, we appreciate them. I have veterans in my family. My late sister is a veteran. My dad was a veteran. My stepdad was a veteran. Many members in my family. And wow, all those people I mentioned are no longer here. But yeah, the forever president of the United States, Barack Obama, doing something that no sitting or former president has ever done. And that is meet that veterans flight and greet all those people. Did you see how happy they were to meet Barack Obama? There's none of that vitriol about, as a fake president and all of that gross. Just very humble. The president was, and just very grateful. And it was just, man, I miss that. Don't you miss those times? Be honest. Even if you're a MAGA, a maggot, or MAGA, don't you miss that when we were all at least not so divided? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not being Pollyannish. I'm not romanticizing the past, because I know how people felt about Barack Obama and all of the vitriol and the hate that he got and the racists in his face and all of the, the racist groups that popped up and their memberships increased and all the threats. I know all of that. But you know what he did? Barack Obama has famously done this. And that's what he did regarding his time as president of the United States. So that's not where we are now. And so I want to start with something to show you where we are. That's what we would like to be. That's what America really should be about. But unfortunately, we're in a time right now where Donald Trump tries to shape the narrative, even when the narrative is not in his favor. And that was part of the big problem that I had with Democrats, is that they don't understand that if you're explaining, you're losing. And I don't believe they understand what the American people want right now.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for clicking. I hope you're enjoying this amazing video. Do you know why I'm calling it amazing video? It's just because of the legend Mr. Obama had touched a lot of souls, a lot of hearts, just because of the act that he did by surprising the veterans. This guy, Mr. Obama, is always on top. But the way I call him my favorite president, I call him the most loved president ever. You might leave a comment below and let me know who is your favorite, because for me, he's the most loved, he's the best president ever in the history of the US. Let me know who is yours. Who is yours? By the way, I've been doing researches about Obama, and I found a video, a very emotional video, where Obama had to cry when he was being interviewed. Even the interviewer was crying. He reminded him when he went to visit young soldiers and he had to shake hands with 800 soldiers. Anyway, let me just not talk too much. Let's watch this video together. Let's enjoy, because it's a very good video. And by the way, watch this to the end. Please watch this video to the end. And if you haven't subscribed, please kindly consider subscribing. Like this video. Yeah, leave a comment below. Let me know who is your favorite president of the US. Mine, I've mentioned him already. Yeah, so watch this.
One of the reasons that we asked the president to go to Fort Campbell, there was a recognition that, yes, it was great for the SEALs and the Night Stalkers to be the final piece of the puzzle, but make no mistake about it, this was the hundreds of thousands of soldiers and sailors, airmen, Marines, intelligence professionals, foreign service officers that had all contributed to this fight, and that frankly were all part of the end game, even if they weren't right there on target. And the best way to have done that, certainly from the Department of Defense side, was to meet with one of the larger elements, which was the 101st Airborne Division. But I remember when you came down, sir, of course, the team was assembled there, and before you arrived, they understood. And these were seasoned operators. These were not young kids, as you know. When you finally met them, I think you were a little surprised by how seemingly long in the tooth some of these guys were. These were seasoned professionals that understood the magnitude of your decision. They had been involved in hundreds of missions before. And all of them understood that at the end of the day, somebody has to make the decision to go. You know, sometimes it's at the 06 level, the colonel or the Navy captain, sometimes it's the flag officer level, and then sometimes it's the President of the United States. And they know how hard those decisions are. And they are incredibly bright young men who also understood the kind of the larger political and geopolitical ramifications of this. So for you to show up to thank them, I think they wanted to thank you for making the decision that they knew the risk. They knew that we didn't know whether bin Laden was there. And that was an incredibly bold decision on your part. But the part that I remember most about that visit was after we got through talking to the SEALs and the Night Stalkers, we went over to the 101st. And the plan, at least as I recall, was you were going to get up. We were in a giant hangar, of course. There were hundreds of soldiers out front. You were going to, say some remarks and then kind of shake a few hands, almost a ceremonial shake a few hands.
Right.
Well, you came off the platform, you went down. Sorry.
No, that's how I felt.
You went down to start shaking hands. And of course, the soldiers start lining up.
Right.
And you start shaking hands and I went to the chief of staff. I said, look, I know the president's got some things going on here, and if he stands there, everybody's going to line up to shake the president's hand. And you kept shaking hands. And finally, I kind of saddled up beside you and I said, Mr. President, you don't need to shake everybody's hand. And you turned to me and you said, hey, Bill, this is important to me, and hopefully it's important to them. And you shook 800 hands that day. People were coming from everywhere. When they found out you were shaking hands in the hangar, what you didn't see, which is what I saw, was there was a line outside that hangar. And the kids were lining up, the soldiers were lining up because they knew the president was going to stay there until every single hand.
I will tell you, Bill, because I get emotional about this too. Every one of those kids had signed up and said to the country and to me, and the people who are making decisions about how they're going to be deployed, they had said, we are here, we are ready, and we are willing to sacrifice everything to defend this country. And some of them saw action, and some of them didn't. Some of them had friends who came back, and some of them had friends who didn't come back. Some came back and were grievously wounded. All of them came back with scars that maybe weren't always visible. And, my attitude that day was an attitude that I did my utmost to remind myself every single day. If they were willing to make those sacrifices, the least they should expect is that their leaders, military or civilian, are going to operate with integrity, aren't going to allow politics to intrude in decision making, that they're going to be appreciated, that their sacrifices won't be in vain.
That is what Barack Obama said to old veterans from, the Vietnam War, people who had sacrificed their lives, man, on an airplane. He surprised them. And a lot of them were white guys. Old white guys were like, oh my God. They were happy to see this, man, that somebody cared, man, because a lot of veterans have been treated like shit. A lot of veterans that have sacrificed themselves in past wars have come back home to nothing. Come back home to booing, come back home to just being ignored. Homelessness, not getting their Medicare. And this video, listen, man, in this landscape right now, we need a little bit of humanity. A little something, a modicum of humanity, man. And I thought that was super cool what Barack did, man. That was cool, man. That's how a president is supposed to act. I voted for Barack Obama. I don't agree. I never agreed with everything he did. I didn't agree with everything he did. There were some things that was mad foul that he's done, but there has to be some kind of humanity. And one thing Barack has is humanity. You feel like he's your friend. You feel like he's your friend, right? you feel like, man, this guy looks like a guy I want to meet. And for him to do that, really, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be keeping 100. I almost teared up on that. I felt so bad for those dudes, man, that they literally felt like nobody cared about us, you know? And I felt for that. And you guys love to come at me going, yo, man, you always talking about race, you don't like white. I said, that ain't it. I love people, man. I like when people get treated properly. I respect the people in the armed forces. I respect all of you. I have friends in the Navy, Army, Marines, Air Force. I have friends in that. And I have so much respect for what you guys do. But I'll be the first one to check your ass when you're being racist and being ridiculous or being super sexist. You know, I'm gonna check you on that. This is the time where I hope we've learned our lesson. A lot of you voted for your own demise. All this foolishness, voting out of hate, voting because you don't like black people or Mexican people and like that. And now a lot of MAGA people are in line right now looking for food because you were so adamant about a woman, especially a woman of color, not being president. And this is what has happened to you. Hey, man, I wanted Trump to do well. I wanted him to, hey, man, hey, you know what? It is what it is. Whoever's in office, I hope they do a decent job. And it's chaos and it's foolishness right now, you know, and you have to know this. And this is a human thing now. I think that this video, everybody should watch it. And it's what we need right now. Some humanity, man, and know that, and I don't want to sound corny, but that we should all be, you know, treating each other with some respect. Real talk, because this is a classism issue right now. So shout out to all the veterans for Veterans Day. I respect you. I respect what you've done, your sacrifices. And let's hopefully get some change in this bull ass administration.